Very lucky to have with us today Mr. Musab Mansour Al-Husseini, who is from the Oil Sustainability Program. And we will be commencing in about a minute or two. We'll be talking about how the oil industry or oil sustainability contributes to the polymers that can be used for the construction industry. So bear with us, and we'll be starting in a minute or two. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you just test your microphone?
Test. All right, perfect.
Speak up here so the camera gets...
Of course, no problem.
Are you good on the test there?
Test. Good?
Test here.
All right.
You have water?
Yeah, of course. Let me just.
You have the slide clicker?
Yes, we do.
Okay, before we start with the slideshow, can we go back to the face slides? Because what we'll do is we'll introduce the faces, and then we'll go to the title of the session, then to the faces, and then to the slideshow. Okay?
تمام كده.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this session at the 33rd edition of Saudi Build 2023 and Saudi LNX 2023, the 24th edition. We're very lucky to have with us the Oil Sustainability Program representative, Mr. Musab Al-Husseini, and we will be talking today about polymers in the building and construction industry. So, Mr. Al-Husseini, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do at the Oil Sustainability Program? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. James, and a very good evening to you all. We're very happy to be here. My name is Musab Al-Husseini, and we're very proud to be participating in the Saudi Build conference this year. I work in the Oil Sustainability Program as a supervisor, and the Oil Sustainability Program has a lot of initiatives which relate to the construction industry as well as the sustainability of the world. Glad to be here, and we have a lot to show you.
Well, the way we're going to work the session today is we have some slides in the background. So what we will do is we'll be having a conversation around the content that we are showing on the screen. And I know Mr. Al-Husseini has the slide sorter, so you can click away, and I'll ask my AV guys to please put the first slide up on the screen. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
So that is the title of the session. In case you were confused where you were, this is what we're talking about today. So could we have the first slide, please? Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you, Dr. James. So let me just introduce a little bit about the Oil Sustainability Program and give you a brief background of why is this program established and how it relates to the construction industry. The Oil Sustainability Program was established by a royal decree to study and evaluate the future of the oil markets and the oil trends. Saudi Arabia is blessed with a hydrocarbon endowment, which we believe that it is of strategic value to the kingdom, along with our goal to help the world develop and sustain the lifestyle of all the inhabitants of the planet altogether.
I see from the slide that we have up on the screen now that you've taken a lot of different opinions into account to benchmark where you sit within the sort of global idea of polymer use.
Of course. So the study was developed with more than 100 experts globally, more than 20 research centers focusing on 20 research topics. As you can see, this is just an example of who we worked with and who we collaborated with and who we consulted with. And we came up with three sectors, we'll say, which is utilities, transportation, and materials. And for the focus of this session, we're going to focus on the materials, which has a great value to the materials construction sector. The program, after establishment, was assigned to work under the Supreme Committee for Hydrocarbon Material, which is chaired by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, with a supervisory committee which is chaired by His Royal Highness the Minister of Energy, Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman. As you can see, these are the members of our supervisory committee who help us and guide us, as well as benefit from our program in our daily work and activities. Of course, we can't talk about the program without showing what we do, actually. And the slide here shows the opportunities which we work on. And again, we'll focus on, if you see the top left corner, the construction material. As you can see, the construction material has a significant portion of the program with value to the kingdom. If we want to deep dive into the value of the kingdom, we must realize that these material offer a unique advantage instead of the conventional material. So in order for us to allow others to benefit from this, we work with all of those stakeholders which you see behind me right now, across the board, be it private, government, regulatory agencies, international bodies. All of those entities are who we work with and collaborate with on our projects and our mandates. From here, if we take a look on the construction industry, given that we've showed some of our opportunities and what we're doing, let's take a step back and look at the construction industry as a whole. Saudi Arabia is blessed to be the biggest construction site in the world. There isn't any construction site similar to Saudi right now. We've all seen these logos, and I'm sure you've also seen some of them partner here or attend or participate.
These are some of the biggest projects in the world, especially in the tourism area. We see the Red Sea, we see Amala, we see Neom. I mean, these are mega projects to attract the 100 million visits by 2030. And I think the kingdom's like nearly all the way through there. So how are you using polymers there? And what volume of polymers are you using?
Well, perfect. Thank you very much for asking about the volume. When we look at these projects, we always hear about them, but we've never maybe looked into what do these numbers actually mean. If you look at some of the projects we have, Red Sea is about 28,000 square kilometers. Roshan has more than 20 million square meters. Trojena in Neom, which is one of Neom's projects, is 60 kilometers, and the line is 170 kilometers. Those numbers are huge. You're talking about revolutionizing the construction industry and changing the way we do projects. In fact, if we look at one element alone, if you look at Roshan, with that number of construction ongoing, you need a lot of material. And if you look at the doors alone, if you place the doors next to each other, you'll end up walking from here all the way to Japan, and maybe even coming back. Where will you get all of those material? That poses a real risk. That poses a challenge. So that brings us to the implications of the ongoing projects. Raw material is available worldwide, but it's a commodity that gets affected by supply and demand, whether be it steel, wood, anything you think about, there's a demand on it, which affects the price, affects the manufacturing capabilities, affects the entire supply chain of transportation, of construction, so on and so forth. From there, we found that we needed to find locally produced material that can satisfy our demand as well as help the world in matters which is more sustainable, more efficient, and more cost effective. That's how we believe that we can shape the world and benefit it from here.
So can I just ask a question on that? In terms of the supply chain that we're talking about, is there an export market to go with that as well?
This is one of the best questions that we've had. And I'll tell you what we want to do here, we want the entire world to mimic and replicate. We want, as the Crown Prince said, Saudi to be the new Europe. We want to be the hub of the world. So, of course, we have an export market, and in fact, we have one of the best commodities which we rely on in our business globally through the petchem industry. So, when you look at the petchem industry, Saudi Arabia produces around 10 million barrels per day, give or take, on average. So we already have a lot of our products going abroad. But why not benefit the people, the environment, and the kingdom even more? Just to put this into perspective, let's look at this, Doctor. You can see the chunk here of Saudi Arabia in terms of the global oil production. And I mean, it's clear that other players exist in the market. So we also want them to participate. We want them to benefit. We want them to learn the experience that we're doing. When you think about an oil barrel, most people think about fuel to my car, and that's it. Or gas to my house to heat up or cook. But if you look into what comes out of a single barrel, all of these products come in from one single barrel. Our role is to shift from the upper side and put more room into the bottom side of the screen by helping manufacturers to produce more material, different variety of products, as well as have the luxury of protecting the environment while relying on our hydrocarbon endowment.
So a barrel of oil these days is about $100 a barrel, right? But with what you're...
I've been listening to
or maybe I've got the price slightly wrong. But, you know, with what you're doing, you're going to take that $100 and turn it into a couple of $100 or $300, depending on how you add value. Is that what you're aiming for?
That's a good question. Actually, we're not looking into increasing the oil barrel cost. The oil barrel will stay within the agreed upon prices. But what we're doing is we're protecting the construction industry. If you look at wood, the price of wood skyrocketed after COVID. If you look at paper suffered extremely. That affected the projects and affected their cost and delivery. However, if you look at pre-COVID and post-COVID, the fluctuation in the oil prices didn't reach not even 10 to 20%. So we have a product or a raw material source which is local. We know it, we know everything about it, and at the same time, the price fluctuation is very minimal. So this is where we're actually protecting the construction industry and the oil market. And let's show some examples of how we do it. So, as Oil Sustainability Program, we work across the entire hydrocarbon chain and throughout the entities, be it designers, constructors, distributors, regulators, and so on and so forth. What we can do and help them, because we know for a fact that a lot of the products around us are related to oil. I mean, this room would not be ready or available without oil. Our clothes would not be ready or available without oil. The lights, everything around us has oil. But how can we maximize the benefit from there? So when we look at specifically the construction industry, it doesn't use a lot of oil percentage. So increasing that will help us more. And we'll give you some life examples. Here's an engagement we've done where we've worked with the manufacturer along with the Kingdom Project to help them alleviate some of the stress on their supply chain and bring in a new sustainable material, lower CO2 emission, lower carbon footprint, better for the environment, longer life, lower maintenance cost. I can talk on for days about the benefits. But we'll give you the real example. And we have the example right here, actually, because
I'm seeing it on the comfort monitor as well. So
we're talking about an example of the GFRP rebars. So a rebar is typically replacing steel. Steel and concrete are one of the highest CO2 emitters. So I can give you that so you can check it. Of course, it's going to hurt you.
That's hard.
It's actually very strong and can replace a lot of the steel quantity. You can sometimes use a third of the steel you need, sometimes even half, depending on the application. What we found out is that the industry needed some encouragement in terms of regulation and knowledge. So we worked with this local manufacturer. We've worked with this housing development entity in the kingdom. We've done some sessions to raise awareness, introduce the technical aspects of the product, as well as finally ensure that it's standardized through the Saudi Building Code. And the outcome was the adoption of the product. And we have documented real reduction in the CO2 emissions. And we have benefits to the kingdom because now that oil is going back into the kingdom, to the manufacturers, to the converters, to the project, to not even our kids or our grandkids, the grandchildren of our grandchildren, inshallah.
Well, that's what I meant by the $100 becomes $300 because you're adding value through that whole sort of downstream chain, aren't you?
Exactly.
And that's amazing.
So the value is documented through the GDP impact and through the import substitution. It's not hidden that we import steel, and we do need the steel industry. The steel industry will exist. We're not going to take it out. We're just going to use it where it makes sense more, and then we're going to use other products where it makes more sense. Maybe we look into another example as well. So we have a manufacturer and a regulator. The manufacturer has a new product which he wants to introduce into the market, and the regulator controls the standards governing this product. Again, we communicate with them and see what makes sense to them. As you can see here on the screen behind me, we worked with them and analyzed the product and understood the value that it can bring to the kingdom. Instead of having steel covers to the manholes, the drain channels, the gratings, why not use fiber reinforced polymers, which is safer, more beneficial, cheaper, lower CO2 emissions, and many more advantages. So in this case, what we've done is we worked with the regulator and the standardization body to ensure that there's a governing standard, there's something that we can rely on and test, and at the same time, the regulator can feel confident about the product itself, how to test it, how to qualify it. And that's exactly our role. So
just up on the screen there, we saw the manhole cover.
Yes.
And that is purely Saudi made in Saudi, sorry.
This is 100% made in Saudi, and actually you can find it in the exhibition. So once you're done, you can go into the exhibition, see it, and test it out. In fact, you can find it in the street right now. As we're speaking, it's already installed in major cities with high traffic roads. So it's not going to break. We're confident about that. It can withstand over 50 tons. And it does not weather. It does not corrode. There's no issues around it. So we've developed the testing criteria and the requirements in order to ensure that this is introduced into the most proper way. What we found is the regulator was more than happy to have it. We have documented value for the kingdom and as well as qualify new products for the Saudi market. And guess what? Other international companies are reaching out and trying to do the same right now. So we have countries abroad that are saying, you've reduced your CO2 emissions, let us learn from you, from the kingdom, and let us do it abroad. So it's a major success story.
Isn't one of the pillars in your organization about innovation?
Of course, that is one of our strategic pillars, along with development and sustainability. So with such products and such applications, we find that the value to the kingdom is very clear. It is beyond any doubt that this is a future for the world, not only for the kingdom. And in fact, maybe if you allow me, I'll publicize for us here. If you want to work with us, if you want to reach out to us, we're very open and happy to help anyone, be it a manufacturer, a regulator, a governing entity. It's just very simple. All what we need from you is tell us what you need, tell us your challenges, give us your communication rep, and let's work together. We're here to help international companies, local companies, end users, regulators. We are here to serve the whole world.
So just Google oil sustainability program,
Or
and
maybe-
you'll find them.
Or maybe you can just reach out to my email right there on the screen, so they can go ahead and contact me right away. I'm more than happy to leave my email and my phone number. You can reach out, we can discuss it and see how we can help you. I really hope I didn't take much of your time. We have a lot more that we can show and talk about, but I'll give it back to you, James. And
Well, all I can say is that was fascinating. What an insight. I didn't know much about polymers, but I know a bit more now. And Mr. Musab Al-Husseini, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very
much.
much.
What a pleasure. Give them a big round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And thank you very much for joining us at the Build Show. That is the end of the content program for this year, the 33rd edition. But we'll be back next year with the 34th edition and the 35th, the year after that. And, you know, it just continues getting bigger and better. So, yeah, join us again next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a question? I mean, I can answer the question.
Oh, we have a question?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Please. أبشر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سعدنا بما هو موجود في معرض البناء السعودي، وبلادنا ولله الحمد مفخرة
الحمد لله.
وفخر كل مواطن، فهي تمشي والثابة بخطى ولاة أمرنا وبخطى قائدنا الملهم الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز وولي عهد الأمير محمد بن سلمان، قائد الرؤية وقائد الدولة السعودي وقائد الرياضة. ولكن عذرا لأننا لا نحسن اللغة الإنجليزية، فودنا الحق يتحدثون عن هذا، وشاكرهم مقدرين. شكرا لك.
أبشر. طبعا العذر والسموحة، العرض تم تقديمه للحضور من مختلف الدول، لكن احنا نفخر ونسعد بأننا نخدم كل أخواننا المواطنين والعالم ككل. بالنسبة للعرض أنا أوفر لك وقتي كامل، أجلس معك وأعيد العرض كامل بالعربي ونتناقش كل الأطراف، وأي أسئلة إضافية ممكن أجاوبك عليها. فحاضر من عيوني، ما طلبت شيء. أنا أقول لك إياها، أبشر من عيوني.
ها هي عادة السعودي، وها هي عادة المبدع. شبابنا فخر لنا.
الحمد لله.
وبورك في الشباب وبورك في العطاء.
الحمد لله.
فكم أنتم مبدعين يا شباب.
الحمد لله.
الشكر موجود. شكرا لك. شكرا لك. شكرا لك والشكر قليل لك.
أشكرك.
لا عدمنا من أمثالك، ولكن
لا خير ولا عدم. تسلم.
روحك عالية، وهي روح والثابت كما هو الشباب السعودي. شكرا لك.
على رأسي.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.